Hello and welcome to episode 45 of HardcoreGaming101.net's top 47,858 games of all time podcast, where we objectively, definitively, and scientifically rank the games you nominate. My name is Xerxes, and if you want David Spade animated GIFs, have I got an external hard drive for you. My panelists today are...
I'm Kyle.
I am Satanga.
I'm Discord Inc.
And I am Lana.
On this podcast, we have 3 rules. Rule 1, all rankings are final, official, and scientifically accurate. Rule 2, you can nominate one game via 5-star review on iTunes or Stitcher. We've stopped accepting Twitter nominations for the foreseeable future, but we will do it again sooner or later. Rule 3, you can nominate games that have already been nominated, just don't nominate games we've already ranked. You can see for yourself on the master list which games we've ranked. Check it out at bit.ly/47kgames. Our first game for this show is going to be Katamari Damacy, which was nominated by @LadyLovesComics on Twitter. This game was developed and published by Namco, and its first release date was March 18th, 2004 in Japan for the PlayStation 2. So, I don't know, kind of obscure. Do you think anybody really knows about Katamari Damacy?
La 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 Katamari Damacy. You probably all know that. The thing of it is, we live in an odd, I'm pretty sure, parallel universe where there's no way this game should be as well known as it is, but it's like the quirkiest thing that somehow became a massive hit. I don't know how that happened. This is back in 2004. I almost want to say that, like, I'll get ahead of myself. I want to say that Katamari is like the last truly original video game ever made. I know it's a bold statement, but, well, you know.
Also a wrong statement, but...
I know.
So I guess we'll just quickly describe it just for the one hillbilly in his hillbilly shack somewhere who doesn't know what Katamari Damacy is. It's basically you play as a prince of what? Space?
All cosmos.
All cosmos. You are the prince, which means your father, the king of all cosmos, got roaring drunk the night before and knocked all the stars out of the sky. And now he's solicited you to go down on Earth for some reason and roll up stuff with a sticky ball and then bring it back, and he will turn the big stuff balls into stars. And it doesn't really make any sense, but the point of this game is to roll the sticky ball through like environments, collect stuff, and grow the ball bigger. And as your ball gets bigger, you can pick up bigger stuff, and then, you know.
Can you say bigger balls again?
I was trying to stay quiet through that one. I'm sorry, but can we just acknowledge how rude it is to be shoving your ball in other people's faces?
Yeah, all over their food.
It is very considerate,
right?
right?
Super rude.
It is.
And that really is a part of the game. It has a huge amount of charm. That's like one of the biggest elements of the Katamari Damacy line, especially the first few, where it was kind of just very refreshing. And I think that was part of what made this game suddenly popular. Super easy to play, super stylish, and super fun. And game was a bit stuffy, you know, like 2004 was sort of, it was a bit serious. The indie games were kind of busy dying off because the cost of production was too high, and Steam hadn't really been invented to sell games yet.
Indie games, by that you mean like B tier, C tier. Well, I mean non-licensed shovelware type games that were still good. You know,
more or less. But before, like, the new wave of indies, that Cave Story that came out the same year sort of opened the door for.
I don't even think there's any comparison to that and what came before. I think this is just like, it's a continuation of like the PlayStation era madness, where it's like, it's really cheap to make games.
Sorry. It's probably worth mentioning that the director on this is someone kind of outside the game industry. Keita Takahashi was just like, as far as I know, was like an artist, and like got pulled into, and as far as I know, he never like made a game before this. So
I think he was at some Namco design school or something. There was some element, or as a competition. I'm not 100% sure on the history of that. It was something that I was reading, that he had worked together with some Namco related thing, and they ended up giving a small team to him and his Katamari idea to get this one done. It's a small team too. This was not like a huge budget game. This was a lot closer to a modern-ish indie title, like a dozen people or something kind of deal.
It also launched for an indie game price for the day. At least in the US, it marketed for $20, if I remember correctly.
I think that was like the perfect way of getting this out there.
That's a value. Holy crap!
It's really, yeah.
For a game that has had for me almost like more than 100 hours of play, I feel that's a steal. It's almost wow. Jeez,
pretty impressive because this is not a long game.
No,
it's addicting though.
It is. Anyway, like the rolling stuff up thing. So the fun of it, I think, that everybody kind of latched onto right away, especially the stages where you just get bigger and bigger and bigger. Like you start out on like a 1 millimeter scale or something like that. Maybe not that small. And then you in the last stage, you can roll the ball all the way big enough to like be grabbing clouds out of the sky and giant cargo vessels and things.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And the basic way the game works is that you're given a set size that you need to get your ball up to by the time. What you have a timer. By the time it runs out, you have to have your ball this big, and you gotta roll over everything that you can to. I mean, you'll see the diameter in the upper left. It tells you how it's building up, and it's like you start out. You can only grab small things. If what you're trying to roll into is larger than your ball, then it's a no-go. It'll just slam off. But then it's like you get revenge on it after you find other smaller things to build up. Like 20 centimeters later, you can totally steal that crab. It becomes infused into your gigantic bolus of living and non-living things that become a star eventually. While this game is morbid, I think you kill animals and people to recreate the stars.
Yeah,
don't worry about it.
The graphics are really kind of charmingly simplistic. There's only so many assets they use in this game. For instance, like each of the stages is supposed to be like a different part of the Earth, but everything is basically Japan because all the stuff like all the little things you roll up is like you're rolling up like onigiri, rice balls in Spain. I don't know, whatever. And, everything is, like the little like Japanese erasers and things. Everything is super Japanese.
No one really questions it either because it came out of Japan, so no one's like, oh, that's weird. No, it's just like, whatever.
Well, exactly.
Because no other country does that with their media.
Right. And the other cool thing is like every time you roll something up, it pops up in the little corner, and
I think
shows
that's really important. It
is.
Yeah, there is a collection gallery where if you can somehow find every single thing in the game, it's there for you to record. I don't know if there's a reward for getting absolutely everything other than the satisfaction.
Does it give you a little bit of flavor text describing the item? I can't remember.
It does, yes. Now, I remember that there was like a Twitter account that just posted some of the sillier descriptions, as I remember.
I do want to say, we haven't, did we actually clarify that the ball is a Katamari? We keep using the word ball instead of just saying
sticky
Katamari.
Ball. It's called the sticky ball. Katamari is Japanese for sticky ball.
Yes, okay, that's fair enough.
I don't know, I made that up. It's not true.
Now, what's a damashi?
It is a thing, though. It does mean something. Sorry, I read this and forgot it. I should have written it down, but Katamari is like... Yeah.
Sorry, according to Wikipedia, it says it is literally clump soul. I don't know if that's correct.
Clump Souls. So this had the market on the Souls name 5 years before Demon Souls was made. Interesting.
The sequel's got a lot
Demon
darker.
Souls begins here.
I will do that, but
So some of the other great things about this game, music is awesome.
The soundtrack is immortal. Yeah.
The art design is really, really good. The character design for such as they are, like the king and all that stuff. The rainbow, the rainbow he spews out of his mouth to like drop you off and pick you up, is really cool. Rainbow Bridge or something like that.
Heck, like even beyond the music, the sound design, just like the little like noises that you hear when people pick up, like little clicks and stuff, like people screaming, the king's like record scratch noise voice.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Oh, it's so cool. Like everything about this game is just like delightful. That is the word, I think, is just delightful on every level. And like the interesting thing is like, although the gameplay, like what it asks of the player is very, very simple, like towards the end, it does get pretty challenging.
Damn cow bear stage.
I was about to bring up the cow and bear missions. Oh my lord!
Ugh, those are the
Oh
worst.
yeah, there's those special missions where it's like roll up like, like a 6 meter diameter ball of salmon, and you have to go find.
Yeah. Which makes Pisces, I think.
Yeah, it makes constellations that way. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's important because I mean, you can clearly see that they looked at it and went, all right, well, maybe we can't just roll everything up and that's it. Like they went, all right, well, let's have some extra like things to do just to mix it up, and that's important when your game is pretty basic to think about that sort of thing.
What I'm trying to think of how to describe like how the challenge kind of comes about. But one of the challenges is like if your sticky ball gets awkwardly shaped because you like rolled over like an oblong object or something that's just going to stick out. So like let's say like you run over like chopsticks or something and you run them over in the wrong way, and so they're just kind of sticking out. So every time your ball like revolves over to that thing, it suddenly like has to go over it, and it slows down, and it really makes it hard to move for a little while. And the game does strike a good balance between making that happen just enough to be challenging, but it's not usually
it's really
not
fun because
aggravating.
it's also just acknowledging that the shape is no longer round. It's like,
right,
cool, it actually does that, and that's
but
nice.
once it's stuck, it's not like you roll it, like it's not like you're pounding it into place as you continue rolling it. It's always in that position, whatever position it got stuck in. That's the way it is. Like I say, it's a cool part of the challenge because you never know what it like just because you can roll up a taxi cab doesn't mean you should at that point. Like maybe you
but you will. I mean, you will
eventually, but
well, no, you just won't resist. You're like, oh, I think I can roll that up.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
You'll do it.
Getting it.
You won't stop, and that's the great part about this. I think that before you get to the negative, what I think is really cool is that it's kind of like this gratifyingly physical gameplay in a way that usually only like fighting games or shoot 'em ups sort of have, like visceralness. Usually visceralness is reserved for violence because it's like, oh yeah, you can totally feel the hits, whereas this is like you can totally feel the sticky rolling ball, and that's really cool that you can feel the ball in this.
I don't know if I want to feel a sticky rolling ball.
It's like you had something bad to say, and I'm interested to see what is bad about this game.
It's not like a super huge negative. I'm just saying that I do feel like it controls using the dual analog sticks on the PS2 controller, and it's for the most part it works really well. But it is kind of like they're like forklift controns,
Yeah, it's tank controls.
Like
you move your left tread,
so,
you move your right tread. I mean, I think it translates fairly conceptually well because the idea is that the prince is smacking it with his left hand and his right hand. And that's how he's turning it. So you hold up, he's smacking it up with one hand. It makes sense to me.
And you can if you do them both in opposite directions, doesn't it turn a little bit faster?
Yeah, because he's doing like the quick turn. You can leap over the Katamari, right? Or because I've mostly only played beautiful Katamari.
You click the stick buttons down and he jumps over, right?
Yeah, so that's like your speedrun technique. You can flip and
then you can wiggle him back and forth really fast, and then he does he revs it up, and that's really important.
And then he flies across the thing. Yeah, that's cool.
That's really important.
That one's the hardest one to sort of do because you do have to kind of alternate them, and it has to sort of pick up on that, which is a little.
It gets a little clumsy at times, and also I would say there are. At least when you're starting out. But I felt like I was doing this even when I was at the end of the game. I recall getting into weird corners and stuff where it's really hard to even if you flip, do the jump over, flip onto the opposite side where it's
if you get trapped in a corner really or somewhere that you can get bounced around a bit. But the game is not really like a strict like hardcore timing sort of game. It's not like, oh, you lose in the last level, so it's game over for you then. No, it's just play the level
get to try again.
I mean, like we said, that Takahashi's an artist, so he wanted to create something that was just impressive and innovative, not necessarily hard edged, and pretty much everything else he's made afterward has for better or worse, not reach the success levels of Katamari, but
that's the nature of art.
Why that is, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't want to call him a one-hit wonder, but
I don't think he was trying to be an any-hit wonder. He's just like, what'd be cool? This Katamari idea, and that was the whole thing.
I want to talk a little bit because I haven't played most of the other Katamari games, and so aside from control issues, which I think we just touched on, like, how does this game succeed, and why do some of its successors seem to be not so well regarded, or because they don't change the formula that much? Is that the problem, or?
They changed the formula just enough for it to be a problem. You guys kind of mentioned that, the cow bear stage, and, the stages that they introduce are kind of going to inherently be not better, really. They're always kind of like, oh yeah, it's a different take than Katamari, but I like normal Katamari, so I'm just kind of getting annoyed that you've got some difficult one. I personally prefer We Love Katamari, but I'm from Australia, and which is technically part of Europe according to video games. So we didn't get the original Katamari Damacy. They looked at the game and they said, "Whoa, this game's too weird for Europeans. Europeans are perfectly sane, normal people that don't play weird games." So they didn't release it in Europe or Australia. So we only got We Love Katamari because I think a major publisher, I don't think Namco published, I think EA published We Love Katamari in Europe because EA were like, "You're stupid, release this, it's gonna make money," and it probably did. And that one has more stuff, and I think it is better than Katamari Damacy because they get, like, the new things that they add are mostly good. But the subsequent games, they suffer from the lead leaving because he's not there anymore, I don't think, for almost any of the other games other than the first one.
Yeah, I'm pretty certain he's only for that one, and, like, if he's on the other ones, it's just for an advisor role. I'm looking at his credits page, and it does not list any Katamari Damacy game beyond We Love Katamari.
Oh, we know what happens to a video game series where its original creator leaves and the company still owns the property, right? We get Metal Gear Survive, that's what.
That's not out yet. Maybe that'll be fantastic, and Konami will prove us all wrong for
that's
Yes, because Konami does good decisions on its own, of course. Yes,
But we're talking about Namco, which is the other Japanese company that makes incredibly bad decisions sometimes. The 360 Katamari was infamous for including a achievement that you could only get by buying the DLC. So that's kind of the symptom of what happened to these games. I'm waiting for them to release a better one because they could. You could make a denser game now with, like...
Can you make the game... Like, let's say you could have just more crap. Katamari, more crap for the... Like, would that make the gameplay any better? Like, if you improve the graphics...
Like, I think that's what I mean. Like, that's a valid line of inquiry. I
don't think it does. I think it's the same. It's like, in fact, it might even make the game worse and more distracting because you want everything to be very simple and short.
It really is kind of like Katamari is the perfect PlayStation 2 game for what it does. The engine, the graphics, the sound, it all works perfectly. Anything else you try and do to it and add more guff, it's like, oh yeah, cool. It's got extra random crap stuck to the Katamari, but it doesn't change the game. It just kind of makes it roll funny.
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's one of those games that probably should just, like, come out once for every platform, Everything that has 2 analog sticks should get a Katamari Damacy, and then that's it. And they don't change anything. It's just like, now you can play it on this, and it's like it's got new erasers to roll up, and it's like, and that's all they need to do. It's like, if you want to scratch that itch, you got it. I guess I can see why nobody would.
Well, they basically released a compilation game on the PlayStation 3. That was Katamari Forever. But for some reason they went, well, let's cover the stages in terrible graphic filters, and that's what people want, is really ugly graphic filters. So you're still better off with the PlayStation 2 game.
Any other thoughts before we rank this?
I don't know if we really covered it, but just, like, the thing that I always remember of a Katamari is just, like, the first, like, kind of, like, the first time they, like, really increase the scale, because, like, the first ones you basically kind of stay at the same scale. But once you just, like, first time you get to go from, like, basically, like, ant-sized thing going around the ground to, like, being able to, like, start taking over, like, up, like, animals, start taking over people, things. It's just, impressive, and it kind of it loads really seamlessly. Like, I think one of the final stages like lets you start from near the small scale and work up to the biggest, and you can just like continuously go up until you're going all over the world, and it's just a really cool effect to see in practice. Like, it's definitely like, if you've never played this game, you should play it or watch it.
Yeah. In that final stage, you got to do that, I think, like 18, 20 minutes or something like that. It's like, it's not a lot of time. It's really cool. Like, and that's a game design, not problem, but like challenge that they definitely overcame, which is like, how do you make that smooth transition from like rolling up blueberries to rolling up, baseball diamonds and things like that? It's like, they actually made it work, and to do it in like a set amount of time. It's like, you've got to put just the right kind of, size things out there and make the ball scale up at just the right level so that, you're kind of unlocking new areas of the stage with bigger stuff to roll up as you go along.
It always feels supernatural, like that's the thing I think that maybe works so well about this game. You can plonk someone in front of it and they just stop playing. It's like, oh yeah, I get it.
So I guess we should rank this.
I'd put it above Toe Jam and Earl. Yeah, I'm starting high. I really like this game.
No, this one, I would want this one to end up high also. How high, though, is the question.
Kind of comparable to Earthbound, actually.
That's a good point.
I haven't brought this up in a while, but although the King of All Cosmos is not really a Dogsbauer-esque character, he holds his own in the pantheon of great game characters. Like, I do think very, very highly of him. I feel like him and dogs would get along. I feel like that's a positive thing.
I feel like maybe the bender he went on was with dogs, and that's why everything went so wrong.
Yeah, destroyed all the stars and stuff.
Like, they ran up a huge bar tab, and that leads to the universe being destroyed, and also Dogs has a bar tab he has to pay off in Blue Stinger. It goes two ways. It's connected.
Yeah. It's like, oh my God, Dogs, we knocked all the stars out of the sky. It's like, don't worry about it. We'll just take a bath, and then we're going to get some sticky balls, and we're just going to roll it all up. You'll see.
And then during the King's hangover, that meteor crashed down the Yucatan and Blue Stinger. Yeah. He could have stopped it otherwise, but,
You probably do roll up Dinosaur Island at some point.
Yeah, so, I mean, you guys, I said around Toe Jam and Earl as a starting point just because it's got a similar quirkiness to it that, captures that energy that I love in games. It's just like, this is such a great game in like that way.
Yeah, Toe Jam and Earl right now is like currently, I think, number 13 out of
14 from what I'm looking at.
Well, 14,
it is 13. You got to be careful because the number 1 belongs to the title bar.
Right.
Yeah. The title bar is currently our best ranked game. Sorry, Super Mario 64.
Title for platform, which was discussed in episode.
Well, you literally can't rank games without those, so I guess they really are the highest ranking.
Yeah.
Nintendo didn't make it, so don't blame us. We're not fanboys here. Right? I feel like it's... I kind of want to put it right above Earthbound. I want to put it above Devil May Cry.
Yeah, like, I'm fine. I'm cool with that. I think that this game can go as high as it wants to go,
It's true. Maybe that's even lowballing it there.
Well, this is mostly, as I said... I didn't really get to play Katamari Damacy because I only got We Love Katamari. I think that game is slightly better than this one, but it's only better in the sense that it has more stuff to the exact same game. So I think the theme song is hiding in there. I think it's a remixed version, so it's not as good.
There's a couple remixes. There's like a swing remix. There's like this weird Japanese scat remix, and there's like a dog remix.
Dogs? Oh.
Sorry, that's the other one.
I actually kind of like the idea of it being between Devil May Cry and above Earthbound because it's kind of quirky and also kind of like a quintessential PS2 game.
The more I think about it, the more I want to say like to put it outrageously high and put it above Super Mario Brothers 3 and below Super Mario 64. And I'll tell you why. Because you take anybody from Miyamoto on down and say, hey, make the craziest thing you can think of that could be a fun game. And I don't think they'd come up with anything like this. Like, I just don't like, this is such a bizarre concept that works so perfectly. You just gotta, this is all I want out of video games. This is what I want games to be, like something crazy and surprising. And it's not because I think the game is like crafted as perfectly as like, the best of the Mario games or Metal Gear Solid 3 or Doom or anything, but it's just so... I just want to reward this kind of ingenuity and zaniness.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think it was like crafted so much as it just happened. Like
right.
it wasn't trying to be anything, and yet it became this huge success.
I guess we've settled you can't really improve upon it.
Yeah, I mean,
in a meaningful way. So if games were food, Super Mario 64 would be like whatever the ultimate like gourmet food is, like lobsters stuffed with tacos. I don't know. It's a Simpsons thing, sorry. Give me your best food stuffed with your second best food. No, it'd be like, you know, like a souffle, you know, like a perfectly made like kind of thing. Whereas like Katamari Damacy is like a grilled cheese sandwich if no one had ever made that before. You know, it's like, oh, well, that's just really good on an elemental level. And why hasn't I thought of this before? That's like, it's just that good. Yeah. And how do you make a grilled cheese sandwich better? You can't. You can just eat it. That's what you do.
One of the things I remember reading in interviews with Keita Takahashi is like he didn't really set out to create like a super innovative game. He basically like said like he wanted to bring like silly fun game, and it is like this is the definition of a silly fun game. Like you it's hard to play that game and not immediately have a smile from your face because like it's doing something. You rolled up something weird, or just like you get bopped away by like something, and just it's delightful.
Yeah, even people I think who don't like games would at least like watching this one.
Joe, at the beginning of this recording, I jokingly referred to this as like the last truly innovative game ever. But can anyone honestly name a game like this that didn't set out to be a big success and snowballed?
Yeah, don't set that up, man. You know that was going to happen.
The games that we don't even like that are probably...
I wasn't even thinking of Minecraft.
Minecraft doesn't care if you don't think about it. It made $2 billion in an angry fat man.
Yeah.
Katamari, you can't sell it short by listing one other game.
Yeah, who disagrees with me?
Well, you know that I think that Mario games are a little overrated. A little, not a lot, but, you know, they're at the top of our list,
Cal,
so why not put Katamari up there? What, does it not deserve to go up there? It deserves to go up there. It's a fantastic game.
Cal. Dude, I want to back you up on this, because if you remember, I was saying that I felt that back when we ranked Super Mario Bros. 3, I felt that was a little overrated. I am actually going to 100% agree with Xerxes' placement, just because I don't want the two Mario games to be wedged up there forever. I want to break it up a little diversity, and that I honestly do love Katamari more than Super Mario Bros. 3. My fans are going to roast me for that one, but I'm sticking by it, damn it.
Well, the most important thing is...
Our fans, not friends. Okay, sorry.
The most important thing about Katamari, I think, is simply that if you were like, hey, recommend a game to someone, like, yeah, Katamari, that's a great game. You'll love it. Like, you will. You should.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like this game? I would be real. I didn't double check because I was so confident that everyone loved this game that I didn't check if there was someone on, I don't know, GameFAQs writing like a 1 out of 10 review.
Oh,
Scram stupid, you can't shoot someone in the face, and I can't play games where you don't murder people.
Damacy sucks. Get him, fellas.
You always find contrarians in every juxtaposition in every painting.
This is a game that I would give to people who kind of hate video games. I'll put it that way. Like, even if you don't like video games, like you might like Katamari Damacy on some level. Like, yeah,
I agree with that. That's I agree with putting it up there and breaking up the Mario Brothers.
Okay, that's 3. Right, so the other 2 people who waited to give their opinion, guess what?
That was actually 4.
I was agreeing.
And he was agreeing, so that's everyone. That is unanimous.
Yeah.
We have a unanimous positioning.
Moving on from one grilled cheese sandwich to the next, we got Windjammers, which was nominated by @alm_writer and @callmethe_Swede on Twitter. And it was published or developed by Data East and published by SNK. Earliest release is February 17th, 1994 for the Neo Geo Arcade, I guess, machine thing. What are that? Is that the AVS or
No, that's the MVS. The AES is the home console.
Yeah.
I confuse them all the time. I mean, the Neo Geo is an incredibly fascinating console. I'm surprised we haven't covered it more on here, but
shame on you.
Well, it's not our fault. People don't nominate those games.
Yeah,
Well, shame on
don't
them.
nominate them. Yeah.
Yeah. Shame on you, listeners. Please
This is
rate,
your fault.
subscribe.
This is
It's
your
Yankees
fault.
advertising.
Love this.
Yes.
Before we get sidetracked, we need to talk about what Windjammers is.
Windjammers is like
A fucking great game.
it is really good. It is like everything you love about Pong plus like sunglasses and
Okay.
volleyball.
Listen,
Like
I hold
Yeah.
the belief that Windjammers is like the grandfather, the basis of all the stupid, weird, lovable, amazing, great esport bullshit games that we have these days.
like Rocket
Huge.
League.
Yes, I got Rocket League. Yes, right. That's another one, right? Because like in recent years, there have been a lot of games like that, and it's basically just like pushing ball around, scoring a goal, and it
oh yeah.
frantic, moving. I think all of that sort of has a foundation in Windjammers. I think that it could be considered like the first of all of those games.
It kind of is. It's like taking a fake sport and just it's like creating. I don't know how you would you describe it.
I call it extreme frisbee soccer hockey golf. I
Listen.
keep saying hockey for
Listen,
some
It
reason.
is very close
They
to air
have
hockey.
they
where-
have a name. It's Flying Disc Game. That is what the game calls itself. It's
Isn't it-
Flying
Yes,
Disc
that's true.
Is it
Game.
called, like,
Flying
is
disc
it flying
game.
disc game or super flying disc game? I think they put like an extra adjective in there.
Wait, let
I'm
me
pretty
see.
sure it's
They
just
have to
Flying
call it
Disc Game.
Flying disc game because frisbee's a trademark, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure that the subtitle
Yeah,
to
no,
Windjammers is just Flying Disc Game. There's no
Yeah,
super.
no, it is just flying. It is just flying disc game. And actually,
Right.
I have a video of it on
Super
right now.
flying disc game is the Dojin game that you can get that was released in 2000 and something, I think.
Yeah, there have
Alright.
been a few Windjammers clones, surprisingly. There was one, like, in the making called, I think, Disc Jam
It's out.
for the PS4.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. How does it compared to Windjammers? Well,
Oh god!
that's
So okay,
overfocus.
I actually bought that like 3 weeks ago, and I still haven't played it. But I've seen videos of it, like the Giant Bomb Quick Look, and I share some of my complaints with Jeff Gersman, who said it is exactly like Windjammers, except they made 2 changes so they wouldn't like get a lawsuit or something. The camera is different. Instead of a top-down view, you get a view from behind, which I think is super dumb, and it's a lot slower. I mean, the first videos that they had out of it were even slower, so they sped it up a little on the final release, but it still doesn't quite feel right because it doesn't have the
Seems like-
same. So no, go ahead.
I'm sorry. This seems like this game would be easy to improve upon. Just turn the frisbee into like a buzzsaw blade and just have it so it will occasionally decapitate one of your opponents.
That's called the Thunderdome. 2 men enter and 1 man leaves.
Yes, that's
What's
right.
the deal? Face the wheel.
Thunderjammers.
That needs to happen, even if it's just an unofficial game.
So
but,
let's back it up a little bit because
You still haven't described what Windjammers is,
Yeah,
other than it's
exactly.
Pong,
Hints-
which is
Right.
not
Yeah.
helpful.
hence me saying, Cal, let's back it up a little bit.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
where that was going. It is Pong. More specifically, I would say it is like Atari's like what is it like on the old Atari 2600 consoles? Like one of the one of the modes on what was it, combat or something, right? Or what? Not combat.
I don't know what this game you're describing until you tell me what mode you're after. Combat is the top-down tank game with the airplanes.
Yeah, no, it's not the tank game. I know there was Tank Pong, but that's not it. But wasn't there a
tennis?
mode of? No, it wasn't tennis. Maybe it was just called Pong. I don't know.
There is Warlords. That's a
not
good game.
Warlords, but it's basically like sticky paddle, the sticky paddle mode on the Pong thing. So
I think
it's
that,
like
I've played a mode like that. Yeah, go.
Yeah, so it's where you it's just like Pong, except when it touches your paddle, or in this case, your buff dude.
Or girl.
Or dude. Yeah, there's
I'm sorry. I love the buff dudes. I always play as the buff dudes. It's just,
there's 5 buff dudes for the one slightly buff lady.
I can't get enough of them. I just want to like bury my face in their buff
Sticky
chests.
balls.
No, I mean, so when it's like Pong, but when it touches your paddle, it sticks to it, and you get to reposition.
That reminds me of the catch capsule from Arkanoid more than anything.
Yeah, I think the parallel here is better remembered from Breakout type of games.
This is the sticky implement episode here, where we're
just keep saying sticky over and over until we hit like it'll be great.
That's for the Chillwave cover of this episode.
Okay, let's back up yet again. The thing about Windjammers is that it has a little bit of several sports in it, like soccer, tennis, volleyball. Basically every sport that isn't baseball and football I can think of. I mean, the basic goal is that you have to score more points than your opponent when the timer runs out, and you do that by tossing this quote-unquote frisbee, because I can't license the name, back and forth, into zones that the enemy is in front of. Yellow zones, which are worth 3 points, and red zones, which are worth 5, but are a little harder to hit. So, like, you are not only the offender, but you're also basically the goalie. It's as much important to score as many points as it is to prevent your opponent from scoring any. And in addition to throwing them ahead, you can also lob them if they miss it. Like, you get 2 points if it lands on the other side. But, like, the real thing that spices up Windjammers is that whenever the disc goes into the air, you stand under it for a bit, and then your character goes all I hate to say this, Super Saiyan or whatever, anime.
They charge up their power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't have to go that route.
I didn't. I'm sorry.
And then they throw the frisbee, and it's a special attack, and it's got explosions, and it moves weirdly.
Yeah, and another cool thing is that if they're far back enough into the goal, a super frisbee smashes them back enough so hard that they just bounce into the goal, and you get the points from it.
Yeah, you can still score even though it crashes into your opponent, and that is the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, it really almost does feel exactly like a fighting game, but with disc. Oh wait, I want to say another game that this one is like. If anyone's played the rather fantastic modern indie game Lethal League, this one is very much a predecessor to that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there all of those games that are coming out these days that are some sort of 2-player or team player sports game. Sports ball.
Well, these are like fantasy sports or fake sports or sci-fi future
the best type of sport.
Yeah.
Why hasn't anybody made one of these games and just called it sports ball? It seems like it's such low-hanging fruit.
I flubbed.
Maybe they walked down to the trademark office, and they're like, "Okay, we want to trademark sports ball," and they're like, "No, you can't trademark sports ball." I don't know.
Hey, someone's got to do it.
Yeah, but another thing I want to mention is that, as we hinted to earlier, there are 6 characters. The burly dudes, the not-so-burly dude, the not-as-burly lady. Yeah, there's German, Italy, all sorts of... Interesting thing is, the lightest dude is, South Korean in one nationality, but he's, British in another, because...
Oh, yes.
I forget exactly what that was. Lana, if you can explain
I don't know the reason why, but it's that kind of stuff that you hear people hush about. I don't know why they had to do that, but on the new release of Windjammers that's coming out on PS4 from .emu, they apparently had to use one of them. I'm pretty sure that they had to stick with the Patrick Miller, which is the I think that's Patrick Miller or something Miller, which is the British dude, right? And
the Korean guy is called like BU or
BU, right? Yeah. So they couldn't use BU for some reason, and they just. Jeff Gersman brought it up on the stream that they were doing about Windjammers, and the guy from .evo just said, "Oh no, we couldn't. We couldn't. It's not. We're not."
Is that based on like a real person?
So it's a really cool like experience. Like the art is great. Like so much energy. All of the characters, even though they have pretty much the exact same gestures. When they actually win or lose, they all like run around the level differently. Like I think the German guy like shakes the stage, like he runs up to the sides and shakes on the cage and like shouts, and the other characters like dance and spin around. And when they lose, some of them throw the frisbee on the ground. If they time out, they're just like, "Fuck this."
Does anybody take a bite out of the flying disc when they?
I don't think so. I don't remember that. But yeah, and
I'm sure if it happened, you would remember it. But yeah,
yeah, maybe.
But no, like it's a very charming game, and it has 6 stages. I think that each stage is presented differently. So unlike tennis or football, where the level is going to be the same because that's how sports work. In this case, they sometimes have obstacles in the stage that cause the disc to bounce. The goals are separated differently, so like the yellow margins and the red margins are in different places. There's some different flavor to everything going on, which means that they actually thought about kind of putting in effort to make the game really interesting, even with the fairly limited single-player mode, which is kind of actually not good. It's very...
Well, like...
Don't play this game as one person.
Yeah, like almost everything released on the Neo Geo, it is often better with a PAL. But, there really is a lot of variety with the 6 characters with varying levels of power and speed, and B, the different levels, which, like, my favorite one of those actually has, I forget which one, but, like, it's like the other side of the enemy is harder to hit or whatever as you get more points. Like the actual zones behind them change the more points that get scored, which is
I think that's the stadium or whatever. It's like the last stage, I think.
Yeah, the final boss, more or less. It changes the rules a little bit there.
Yeah, which is disappointing. There is no final boss. I really wanted some sort of super mega robot
like
volley
frisbee octopus,
machine.
like frisbee puss.
I would have loved that. A robotic frisbee foot puss. That would be great.
How about a tiny alien in a UFO that becomes the disc and just keeps trying to run into your face or whatever?
Just like periodically like corrects its own course. It's like, nope, I'm going this way.
Yes, no, that'd be excellent.
I gotta say, like the SNK games, like why they don't really ever have good single player experiences. I find it so weird because I've never met a Neo Geo fan who had friends. So,
wow!
I don't know.
Wow!
Hot takes.
Yeah, sorry. I love Neo Geo. Everybody, I love it.
We love Neo Geo here.
We're alienating the hell out of everybody this episode. Between all our balls and insults, it's just we apologize, but we're doing things our way, so deal with it.
We got to rank this one.
You got to put Windjammers in somewhere. You got to jam it in the list. So.
We're forgetting about the intermission mini games.
Right, there is a couple of mini games which are pretty good. I like that dog one because you become the dog, don't you, or whatever? It's a bit weird.
Dog.
I know it's the only game where you start as a frisbee and become a dog.
I mean, you don't become Dog's Bower, but a literal dog is almost as good. So
I didn't do that. Everybody,
no, I know he's helping you.
Xerxes has infected my brain with this. Oh my god!
But okay, yeah. So there's some nice intermissions, which are kind of a light spot in what is otherwise kind of a grueling single player. It's 6 levels long, and it will cost you hundreds of credits to get through. It's a tough game.
Good.
The AI cheats in almost every
game. The AI is really smart. It's smarter than me.
Although once again, though, It should be said once again, though, that this isn't an SNK game. It's Data East, one of my personal favorite companies. I want to cover as many games by them on here. They did some great stuff in the '90s, and then they went bankrupt in 2003.
It's not if there's no Karnov cameo, I just don't feel like it's really a Data East game.
It's a weird game. Feel like one.
If you slapped like SNK on the game, I'd be like, yeah, they made it. I believe that. But it's got Data East. It's like, all right, sure. I mean, they make good games, so whatever.
I mean, Data East is behind Night Slashers, one of my personal favorite beat-em-ups. That almost doesn't feel like something they did. I mean, compared to, like, Karnov or, like, the RoboCop arcade game. Yeah, Tumble Pop. It does... And, sometimes some companies just break out of their boundaries and create something, truly magical. And I do want to say, even if it was not as recognized for its time, and it's still kind of niche... somewhat obscure nowadays, I would agree with Lana that Windjammers was really a trendsetter. And
kind of belatedly so, but yeah, it is.
Yeah, just now people are realizing it.
I swear at some point this game got way popular than it was at any point, because I think tons of indie developers are like, yeah, I love Windjammers.
Yeah, you can thank Giant Bomb for that.
Yeah,
Giant Bomb did that pretty much single-handedly, like with Dave Lang and Jeff Gerstmann talking about it, like, I think, I'm pretty sure they're the ones to blame for this.
But, okay, so we're gonna have to put it somewhere. I'm gonna have to run in and just put this game somewhere.
Okay.
I gotta say, like, the immediate... Yeah, go ahead.
Above Katamari.
What? No! Nice punchline there. Now, do you have an actual ranking for us? Look, I love Windjammers, but
you can place wherever you want, but we're just gonna bully you down.
You have the floor. Go ahead.
Convince us.
I think this is serious. Like, prove your case.
That's how you do it here.
I just think it's such a good game. Like, yeah, it's a trendsetter, and I think like it's such a great like tournament game. Like, to get a bunch of friends playing together, get ranks on it. Like, I think it is like the grilled cheese of video games.
Wow.
See, I have to come in here, unfortunately, and say that my problem with Windjammers, which is why I can't place it as high as that, is that it really needed Windjammers to the home port with all the trimmings and all the options, because there's so much stuff that bothers me.
They did.
Is there a proper one with settings and like options?
Neo Geo CD.
That's it. What is that version? Can you explain that version to me? Because I did not play the Neo Geo CD.
Okay, all right. So I dug myself into a hole here because I don't know what it actually is, but I'm just saying there is a home port. It's for the Neo Geo CD.
You're not ranking that one.
Well, I feel we've been hornswoggled here, honestly. I mean, Windjammers is great, but I have a hard trouble ranking it that high if you're being serious.
Well, okay, see, the thing
serious,
is,
but it's okay to disagree. It's not like...
fine. So the thing is, like, I didn't like that you time out so quickly in this game. I really wish that you had a little bit more clutch time, especially that you can time out when you're about to throw the disc or when the disc is kind of in midair or whatever. It's like, oh, I was gonna win, and it's like, I really wish that it had that.
That's what we call timer scamming in the MLG level of things, I believe.
Yeah, it has those little elements. I really wish that you had the option to turn off certain, like, features or even the special abilities and stuff just to play it a little differently.
No,
I wish it had a doubles match mode. That would be really cool.
What? If you don't have the special abilities, it's not Windjammers.
It is a different game, but I really wish that you had a Windjammers version that let you really customize your experience to, really play exactly how you feel like playing at the time.
There is. It's called owning an MVS arcade cabinet and being able to enter the service menu.
No specials, no special abilities, Steve only, final destination.
Exactly. That's the only way you can MLG it properly. Basically, this game is slightly too arcade game for me in terms of it clearly wants to take your money, and it doesn't quite have the feature set that it needs to be an all-time classic. It's a very great game, but it's not top 3, I don't think. It's somewhere in maybe the top 30, 40,
Are you
I was
kidding
thinking,
me?
like,
No, I'm
I
out
was
of here.
thinking, well, look,
This is
look,
bad.
a lot. Okay,
Oh,
so
come back.
just to remind people, like below the top 30 are games like Mega Man 3, R-Type,
Right.
Descent,
Yeah.
Illbleed. Well, Illbleed. I mean, that's
Hopefully, it's a great game. I won't
it's
keep.
a great game.
It's
a great game,
It's
but
a
I'm
flawed
like-
gem, but it's a gem nonetheless.
I'm not. I'm just saying it doesn't speak for itself just by saying the name. Like you say Descent, everybody's like, oh yeah, Descent. Illbleed. What?
Hey, we
The
gotta
one with
have
the-
some weirdos in the mix.
But I mean, there's the list is very top heavy in that there's a lot of really good games that people nominate, and so it seems like we're pushing it really down. Like, for instance, like another well, not, I mean, it's Data East game, but this is an essay, but whatever. Another, Crystalis is like number 78. I mean, that's
a good game. I like that game a lot.
These are good games. So
Sticky Balls just got second.
Yeah, Sticky Balls
Well,
is
look,
a really great
all right.
game. But
Okay, fine. Here, arbitrary reason, not enough bandanas. All right, Windjammers had more characters wearing bandanas. I would be okay with it, but as it is, I'm going to
I really
say
wish it
that
had
the single
spawned a
player mode
series.
is crappy. All right, and I know that's not like the thing that, but it has one. It's like if you're gonna,
it has one, and it's an arcade game. So unless you had friends hanging out at the arcade, you were stuck playing this one single player.
They're all off bowling or something. You're the one who's like, I'm gonna play.
Why don't you guys play Windjammers with me? Come on, guys! And they're like, "Nah, man, I'm picking up a spare, and that's it."
I always sucked at bowling.
But there's bowling on this one too.
Yeah,
You can
there
play
actually
bowling.
is.
I know
That
you
was
can,
great.
right. And it's a great game, but and that
But
one's
okay,
actually
let's-
fair to play single player.
I don't know. Like, we put Metroid at 23. We've got
Yeah.
Panzer Dragoon Saga at 26. These are fantastic games.
Yeah, like,
and I'm not sure if Windjammers hits hard enough.
Yeah, I agree. Windjammers is not a good one-player game for sure. It really lacks on that. I get what you're saying, but I think if we're strictly speaking on a two-player basis, like getting your friends to play with you, competing against them, this is like the perfect bread and butter competition.
Can I check?
game.
Are the characters balanced? I have a hard time telling if they're balanced or if I should just be picking one of the fast characters.
They're not
That
balanced
was
in like Nintendo ice hockey sense of like I'll take fatty, skinny, and fatty. It's like where it's like
they have different abilities. Like some of them move. First of all, they all have different special abilities, but they also have so there's 6 characters, right?
Yes,
Okay.
6.
Yeah, so 6 characters. Every 2 characters have they have 2 characters with the same attributes, speed and the force with which you launch the frisbee. So you
Because it seems to me like your best choice is to pick the fast people and just kind of spam around, because the slower characters seem to just get beat all the time.
not quite, because if you're trying to score a goal, there is some strategy. I think if you're trying to score a goal, you can also get better chances if you take one that has more power, that throws the frisbee faster. Which
Because the game is really fast. It's hard to tell.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. They have different attributes.
All right. Okay. So let me just throw this
you put
out
it
here.
somewhere.
The game I would immediately compare it to on the list that's on there is Worms Armageddon.
Oh my god! I was looking right at there. I was thinking, place it between.
Worms Armageddon is a similar kind of thing where it's a great game to play with other people. It's not really that much fun to play on your own.
Yeah.
It's got it kind of is it accomplishes many of the same things. And that said, although Worms Armageddon is a fantastic game, I would put Windjammers a little bit higher, and I would put it right below. I would say right below Deus Ex and right above Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
Perfect. I was actually going to place
very
it
high.
between Carmen and Worms, but I'm all right bumping it one higher. So,
Sure.
Well, Carmen Sandiego is awesome, and she probably would really kick ass in the Windjammers arena.
I
feel like that's
no,
what
she would just steal the disc,
yeah.
and then you have to go to all the nationalities of the 6 players to find out where the hell she
Damn it,
went.
that was our last frisbee. I don't want to go to Budapest. So can everybody live with that?
Yep. I'm okay with that.
It's excellent.
That's a really high ranking for Windjammers. Play Windjammers. Especially if you have friends. The rest of you, I don't know.
And it's coming, coming out on PS4 now.
Yeah, are they going to improve the PS4 version at all, or is it just Windjammers basic?
So, it's basically just an emulator. They didn't change a thing about in-game. What they did basically was just menus for it and bring online multiplayer to it, except that hasn't been showcased yet, and I'm kind of worried about how that's going to fare out.
Well, they're probably trying to make sure all the bandanas make it in.
Yeah, The PS4 version is the same game as the arcade. They're just putting a ROM into an emulator, breaking it out into menus for home play. You can change all the settings you want. You can pick the characters and stages that you want. I just really have a big personal gripe with how they scale the sprites. It looks horrible, but it works.
They always scale sprites badly for modern systems because modern TVs hate sprites, and that I can understand that.
There is a way to do that, right? And they didn't do it.
It's been done. Yeah, like the Mega Man collection people, they know what
exactly.
Yeah.
No, it depends how much money you want to spend on your port, and I don't think that they spend much with the.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
it all went into the bandana budget. It just got.
Yeah,
I'm telling
fine.
It all went to bandanas.
I'll buy you a bandana, okay? I'll send you a bandana.
We got green bandanas. We got blue bandanas. We got yellow bandanas. We got all the bandanas.
Oh, wow. Please donate to Patreon so we can buy Xerxes a bandana. He really needs more.
I've got several. I wear them all the time. Okay, so let's close this. Let's close this episode out and plunk it into the Hall of Shame. No, this is a good one. This is a good one. That's all for this episode of Hardcore Gaming 101's Top Games Podcast. Special thanks goes out to @LadyLovesComics, @AlmWriter, and @CallMeTheSwede on Twitter, all of them, for nominating those games. And thanks as well to those of you we haven't gotten to yet. We will be getting to you as soon as we can, and we are making pretty good headway at this point. Thanks also to my lovely co-hosts and compatriots, and to our editor Jeff Rude, and our theme song composer Muteki. And of course, we're very thankful for the support and feedback of listeners like you. You can support this podcast by making a small monthly donation at patreon.com/HG101. I know, I did. You can help us out as well by subscribing to HG101's YouTube channel, where you can find video versions of all these games separated up game by game. It's a great way to revisit conversations we've had in just this past year about so many great games, and also Ribbon. And then there's and you can help us claw our way into the podcasting firmament by getting on iTunes, subscribing to HG101, and giving us a 5-star review. Do it, or insert sticky balls joke here.
Or grilled cheese.
Until next week. Or grilled cheese. Until next week, keep keeping it real.